I want to shift gears a little bit and maybe talk a little bit about your trip to Gaza last year and what it meant to, bear witness of this genocide as it was unfolding. Because I've watched several of the interviews that you've done, and you describe something that is almost uh, indescribable or cannot be depicted just by watching social media. To understand the level of devastation, the level of trauma inflicted upon human beings and animals, and the land itself, that it like I think of my own family experience, and my dad was a boarding school generation survivor, and that took the United States 150 years just to acknowledge. They didn't call it genocide, but they that's like generations of my own family, and we're now just coming to terms with it. And I think about the level of violence as it carries forward, and the memory of it, within all of these families. But maybe you can just talk a little bit about your personal experience on the ground, and witnessing that level of devastation and destruction.
I don't think, and I've said this before, I really don't have the language to fully capture what I saw, even for a brief period, and an isolated small part of Gaza. So I wasn't even allowed to see the full picture. It is the the devastation is total. The infrastructure, um, there's really nothing, no place to exist. You are at the mercy of the elements, and bombs are raining on you all the time. I mean, the entire time that I was there, we could hear bombs exploding, and it just becomes normalized, and you continue talking. Like a bomb goes off and it's far away, and there's nothing you can do, and so you continue having whatever conversation you're having, and it's surreal. Because you know that somebody's body was just shredded, somebody, like every sound, and they are um, uh, and beyond the violence, like the spectacular violence, the gore. There is this much more pervasive, deeper agony that people are experiencing. I mean, there is, especially children, like the targeting of children has been intense. And it's not just the number of children who've been murdered, uh, but there's also a large tens of thousands of children with amputees. Really, like it's the largest cohort of pediatric amputees in recorded history. And so I saw a lot of that. I mean, I saw scenes that just um, I mean, I still dream about them, honestly. And uh, the suffering that families feel, that parents feel. Sorry, it's like it's hard to, when I talk about it, the images are in my head.
No, it's fine. I can only imagine. I mean, it's I don't like talking about this stuff. I think, just it doesn't compare. But I remember reading a lot of the accounts of just boarding school survivors. I mean, that's immediate. And but to see the things that you might read about in novels, or you might read about, or yeah, becoming real, because you have all five senses. You have your smell, your eyesight, and you have six. I would say there's other levels of senses that we have, not to get mystical, but you have a human, connection, like a spiritual connection with these people, these, who are essentially your relatives, your people.
And it's not just the people, like you said, it's the land, it's the trees, it's the birds that are gone, the stray animals now, the donkeys you know, who bear the full burden, the full weight of everything. Um, it and the parallels, I think, with the Native American experience are real. I mean, I've written about this too. And I think in some ways, people who've been genocided, whether it's here in Australia, in New Zealand, I think a lot of people look at what's happening to Palestinians and they can see that this is what happened to their ancestors. Um, we just didn't have the technology to capture it. But yeah, it's an entirely different experience when you when you do take it in with all your senses. You're not just looking at it. It's not something you turn off. You breathe it, you smell it, the dust, the carnage, the sounds, the way your heart just jumps out of your chest. And parents who don't know how to protect their children, children who are utterly bewildered, they're out of school. And this ignorization of our children was also part of the colonial project in Israel for since its inception, and I think the either to like what they did in the boarding schools to quote unquote re-educate, or to ignorize. I mean those and to traumatize in such ways that you spend your whole life just trying to unpack what was done to you. And I think a lot of us are in that. A lot of us who are colonized at this hour, we exist in this space. Everything we write, what we create, what we imagine, what we discuss is comes out of this collective